Dreamworks Animation. I don't think I've ever seen a production company with such a vast difference in popularity among films.
Let me explain. For the most part, every single Pixar movie is pretty well known. Even the ones that suck are still well known, so I guess with them, you're either famous or infamous. However, with Dreamworks, there is a vast difference. If you told me that the actual cinematic masterpiece known as Shrek 2 came from the same company as Home,
well, first I'd ask, the heck is Home? But second, I wouldn't believe you.
or if you tried telling me that How to Train Your Dragon, an iconic, consistent franchise where each film in the trilogy is at least good to amazing, was from the same company as Boss Baby?
Yeah, what happened there?
But among these extreme differences in quality, we have a plethora of films which just went under the radar and forgotten. Yeah, I'm talking about Rise of the Guardians. I'm talking Flushed Away. I'm even talking... I can't escape this movie. But for this video, it's not gonna be about one of those.
Oh, no.
Because this film I'm about to mention is a gift from the gods. When this released, the world was suddenly at peace. World hunger was solved, the polar ice caps formed back together. People around the globe rejoiced. Even Thanos decided not to invade Earth that day when he saw the raw, immense power humans were able to create.
Yes, the film I am talking about is none other than Over the Hedge.
Over the Hedge is a 2006 nature documentary film directed by Carrie Kirkpatrick and Tim Johnson. It made a pretty solid box office compared to its budget, and got fairly good reviews, but both of those mixed things just kinda made it get left behind. It wasn't exactly regarded as a masterpiece, but not a disaster either. It was just here, chilled for a bit, and suddenly vanished. But that's impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete. Because I'm not going to take this lying down. And it is my sworn duty here on YouTube to inform people about the power within this masterpiece of a film. Because when thinking about the next movie I wanted to review, I really just dived deep into what I loved as a child.
And Over the Hedge, as bizarre as it might sound, was always my go-to movie as a kid.
And rewatching it, this hit me with a certain sense of nostalgia I have not had in a long time. It brought back memories I forgot I had. Suddenly, I was gifted with the knowledge of the universe. I could see the light. It was beautiful. And today, that power must be shared with you, the viewer, or even the subscriber. Hit that subscribe button, okay, bye.
So, without further ado, this is Over the Hedge.
So we immediately start the movie with some amazing slapstick humor that really capitalizes on the fact that it is animation. We see a raccoon, played by Bruce Willis.
Yeah, I don't know how they got him to do this movie about talking animals either.
He must have pulled a Bill Murray and mistook the director as someone else. But anyway, he's doing what raccoons do and is scavenging for food. He makes a bold move in trying to steal from a bear, and we get something that I really respect, which is that the main character isn't a good person. He's an anti-hero, really, and that's something we don't see much in animation. Also, this opening perfectly sets him up in all aspects. We see how little he cares about others, check. We see how desperate he is to get what he wants and how he can smooth talk his way out of almost anything, double check. And we see and feel his main goal of the movie, which is trying to pay back the bear in a week after he accidentally destroyed all of his food. All of this is swiftly portrayed in just a mere 5 minutes. There's no need for a long expositional introduction that just bores the audience. No, it's all shown to us in an efficient and effective way, which in filmmaking is very impressive. So all you film students out there, open up those notes, rev up those fryers, because this is a perfect way to start a movie.
Starting to see what I mean?
And that amazing opening is followed up with an amazing song, the first of the soundtrack.
And oh boy, the soundtrack, let me tell you.
When I mean I got a huge burst of nostalgia from this movie, this was a huge part of that. I literally haven't heard these songs in years, but hearing them again opened up a whole part of my brain I didn't even know I had. And I started singing all of the words and humming the harmonies out of nowhere. It was beautiful.
Slightly terrifying, but beautiful.
Ben Folds, the one who did all the songs, is just a legend. And these are some of the greatest 2000s vibe songs I've ever heard. All of them are bangers. And I haven't felt something like this in a long time. Anyway, Bruce Willis sulks in the amazing opening song until we quickly see the rest of the character, which are all foragers for food in the forest. It's springtime now, and obviously since this movie is 14 years old,
wait, what?
the animation is pretty hit and miss. The spring setting does create a pretty cool background aesthetic, and the animals are perfectly fine with some great detail for fur. However, humans, which are always the hardest to animate with how uncanny it can look, are pretty, yeah. Apart from the absolute legend of the Verminator.
Which, do not worry, we will get to.
But we see all the foragers are part of the Turtles family, played by Gary Shandling, and since my TMNT video is my most viewed one, it might help the algorithm if I call him, so many choices. Let's go with Raph. Okay, so Raph's family consists of a plethora of characters, and even though they don't really give us a reason or a backstory to care about, well, I guess any of them, they all still have a unique personality, especially like the possum played by Avril Lavigne for some reason, the skunk played by Wanda Sykes, which is just the stereotypical sassy character, and the legend himself, Hammy. Yeah, everyone's gangster until he starts slowing down time like Quicksilver. He's played by Steve Carell, but this was really when The Office was just starting out, so he wasn't as mainstream as he is today. Anyway, they find this ominous hedge that towers over them, and reveals to be a massive suburban neighborhood that I guess wasn't there before in the fall, somehow.
Okay, Handy Manny and Bob the Builder must have assembled to get this thing done in only 4 months. Psh, yeah, Infinity War who? This is the real crossover we should be talking about.
We get some classic slapstick action, which, even if it seems childish, it gets oh so much better. Raph tells them all about it, making everyone much more terrified and easier to persuade. And what do you know? Guess who the smooth-talking character that helps them out is?
It is the gateway to the good life.
Bruce Willis shows them the good life when he opens up a bag of discount Doritos on him, and we get quite possibly my favorite running gag in the movie, with the earth zoomed out showing the explosion. And honestly, I'm not even that big of a fan of nacho cheese Doritos, but this movie makes me want them every single time. He takes the rest of the animals to the suburbs, and then the movie hits us with something interesting. And by interesting, I mean the socio-economic themes of humans in the suburbs and their strive for greed and consumption.
Yes, we are still watching the same movie.
So, yeah, one could argue that this is very random, but weirdly enough, this is actually my favorite and most interesting part of the movie to me in terms of themes. Let me explain. There's an underlying theme in this movie about greed, and how dangerous yet tempting it can be. Greed isn't just a personality trait of the Bruce Willis raccoon, but the main thing portrayed in all of the humans. We get a great, fast-paced, and funny scene about how much food humans consume.
That is the altar where they worship food. That gets rid of the guilt so they can eat more food. Food! Food! Food!
Summed up in probably my favorite line in the movie, apart from anything the Verminator says, we'll get to it.
We eat to live. These guys live to eat.
And it's kind of hilarious how a movie made by humans is saying how awful humans are, but also this can be taken as symbolism of different wealth classes, and how when the top of the food chain is everything, the bottom has nothing. I was just taken aback by how deep Over the Hedge could get, but I really appreciated it. Anyway, we see the literal definition of a Karen, none other than, I actually don't even know her name, I'm just gonna call her Karen. Of course, she is president of the Homeowners Association.
Says the grass is supposed to be 2 inches, and according to my measuring stick, yours is 2.5.
But this movie came out before the term Karen was even a thing, so it's ahead of its time.
What if we have a potential pandemic on our hands?
Almost too ahead of his time.
Karen chases them off, and they refuse the raccoon's offer of the outside world. However, of course, he's able to convince and sweet-talk the most gullible of the group, Hammy. He attacks these Girl Scouts as Raph, moons the camera, I guess. Karen continues to be the definition of Karen.
Fine. You worry about your casserole, and I'll worry about the end of suburban peace!
Although, legend says that she hasn't even reached her final form yet. We get another banger of a Ben Folds song, even better than the first. Seriously, the song titled Heist has no business going this hard, but it's put over a montage of them stealing a bunch of food and accepting Bruce Willis and their family, while simultaneously slowly pushing Raph out. Literally. But this actually does bring up a pretty good plot point of the movie. It's very similar to Toy Story, yet reversed. In Toy Story, Woody isn't really a good guy, while Buzz is a good, unproblematic person. However, the main twist is that the situations in Over the Hedge are reversed, because the unproblematic person isn't the one that comes in the family and messes up the flow. It's the selfish one, leaving the true good person pushed to the side. And I thought that was a really good twist, which really builds on even further than what they did with Toy Story.
Again, why was this so forgotten?
We see more humans with interesting animation. Although, a little detail that I just love is that in almost every shot with the human, we see them from the ground up, from the perspective of the animals, which really shows how menacing they are to them and would be in real life. However, nothing is more menacing than what comes next. Nothing could prepare them for what comes next. As an ominous white van drives up, we see the absolute best character of the movie. The one person that makes even Bruce Willis see dead people, voiced by Sandman himself, the Verminator, aka Dwayne. Words cannot describe how much I love this character, but I'll try my best to. This guy takes his job so insanely serious and is the most feared and powerful person in the world.
He is not living in our world, we are living in his. He doesn't wait for the bus waits for him. When he turned 18, he didn't move out, his parents did. You wanna know why they didn't show the monsters in Bird Box? Yeah, because it was the Verminator. Even emo Peter isn't suave enough to win over the Verminator. The Verminator is the reason Waldo is hiding. The Verminator knows Victoria's secrets. When Thanos said, "I am inevitable," the Verminator replied,
Oh, really? Do you, in fact, have an associate's degree from VermTech?
That's how powerful the Verminator is, aka Dwayne.
La Fondant.
I have a problem.
So anyway, after whatever that was, along with some really funny lines by the absolute best character,
Stand down, sister.
they all go back home, and the animals show Bruce Willis his new home that they set up for him. However, he gets scared that he's falling in too deep with the family, and feels guilty that he's just using them. Although, Raph's good heart causes him to want to return the food. We get some more slapstick humor as the Karen just continues to have the worst day. The discount Pringles things that I've always wanted to try, by the way, cause them to fall back home with all of the food gone. Then we get the classic lowest point of the movie. However, an interesting twist on this movie is that the raccoon's lowest point actually comes later, which we'll get to. Raph accidentally calls them stupid, and I didn't think I'd get so emotional over Michael Scott as a squirrel.
I'm not stupid.
But again, in classic Dreamworks fashion, the lowest point plays a great sad song. We saw it in Shrek, Madagascar, and now Over the Hedge. And it's probably my favorite song of the movie, titled Still. But it is mixed with my absolute favorite line of the movie.
That's a contraband item, ma'am, as it is illegal in every state, except Texas.
And the fact that he placed his hand over his heart is just perfect. The raccoon and Raph have a heart-to-heart, and we get the preparation for the final battle. Karen is hosting a homeowners association party with the rest of the Karens, but this means that her house is now stocked with food. They have to make over the skunk to get past the cat.
Don't you dare!
Where did the court go?
They sneak into the house, and it should be illegal how accurate the scene is.
Seriously, who thought that opening at THX would be a good idea? I still have PTSD from it.
Karen kicks Avril Lavigne in a hilarious fashion, and I just love how stiff and bombastic her animation is. They really did a great job with everyone's unique movements and personality. Finally, the raccoon confesses to them, but they get caught before they're even able to fully process what he said, which I thought was a great twist, as it just delays the tension instead of immediately resolving it. After
Okay, it's like the only pop culture reference they forced down on us.
But Stella lights up the joint as the Verminator goes sicko mode, and we see my absolute favorite duo.
Whoa, you stink.
That's because you let them into my house!
Okay, I know I make this joke a lot, but I genuinely want to see a spin-off buddy cop movie with these two. I would be the first in line.
Bruce Willis sells out his friends for his own gain, and we get another amazing part of the movie, which is the raccoon's lowest point. Like I mentioned earlier, he realizes that if he continues down this selfish path, he'll end up just like the bear, and that he'll never get the family he already had. We get actually a really fun and exciting chase sequence with Yogi Bear and the unconscious Dwayne,
La Fondant.
with, again, Karen just having the absolute worst day.
However, if you thought that was the grand finale, yeah, just watch.
In the real Avengers level threat, all three of our antagonists unite and attack the animals in the hedge. And it is my favorite thing ever. The Verminator continues to show his true strength when he literally is able to take a punch from a bear, until Hammy finally gets to shine, clearly being the inspiration for the Quicksilver scene in X-Men. It all ends when our antagonists get caught in the
Pelter Turbo.
And I love how they don't even acknowledge the literal bear on top of them. And in case you were wondering about the Verminator's true strength, he survives this. And yes, this running gag comes back too. Also, this last part is just genuinely funny.
Away. Get her.
All of our heroes accept Bruce Willis into the family, and we get another banger of a song for the end credits. It is really just the perfect finale.
And that was Over the Hedge. Is it really just good because of nostalgia? No. Of course not. It is still a comedic masterpiece.
For Dreamworks, this movie is definitely an interesting one. It's not necessarily the most imaginative or aesthetically pleasing movie of theirs, as basically the whole movie just takes place in one general location. However, it strives on how simple and subtle it is. For a movie that's not very well known, it has one of the most iconic characters ever, the Verminator. Even if you don't find the rest of the movie funny, this guy will crack you up with every movement he does. His back must be hurting from carrying this movie. If it wasn't for him and even the a Karen though, then I can easily see how it would get left behind. All the side characters are a little bland and sometimes just become stereotypes of what we've seen dozens of times, but the subversive dynamic between the two main characters is just enough for me to keep it fresh. Even the out-of-place socioeconomic themes are a great addition. So all in all, this conclusion is kind of all over the place. But I mean, come on, it's Over the Hedge. You know exactly what you're walking into when you watch it. Just a really fun time with some great heart and even greater characters. A forgotten comedic masterpiece only for the elites.
Anyway,
If you'll excuse me.
I need to get into the holiday spirit. Expect some Christmas themed reviews coming, including my favorite horror movie of the bunch,